Bohn here in Saudi Arabia with Peter Murray ahead of PFL Battle of the Giants on Saturday at the Mayadeen on pay-per-view. Peter, huge event for you guys, obviously. It's been a long time coming for Francis to make his MMA debut in PFL. It's been a lot of difficult times for him leading up to this, though, but we're here. You've been around him this week. What's your sense of Francis as an MMA fighter once again?
He's ready to go. I mean, Francis is a pro, the Predator. He's going to bring it. He's going up against Renan Ferreira. This is a 50-50 fight, as the whole fight community is talking about it as the biggest MMA event of the year. But Francis is ready. He's been training in Paris, and Renan's been training in South Florida. But they're both here and focused. It's going to be an incredible fight.
I'm sure you would have loved for Francis to just come right in and fight MMA immediately, but do you think the venture into boxing almost created more intrigue with this fight? Like, he's never been knocked out before. He's coming back. I know the personal tragedy stuff is not how you want to promote anything, but there is more questions around him maybe right now than there's ever been.
Yeah, listen, this is Francis's decision to come back and at this particular moment to return to MMA with the PFL on this Saturday. But Francis, his plan leaving the UFC was always to get into boxing, take that on first, and then get back into MMA and manage his career in parallel, both in boxing and MMA. And we're highly coordinated, in terms of how Francis is developing his game plan in boxing and how we're rolling out super fights and staging events with Francis and MMA. So, candidly, it's been seamless, despite his personal tragedy, as you touched on. But this is all about Francis's journey, and, it's a privilege to support him in that, as well as all the other fighters on the card, including Renan.
And I know you did an interview with MMA Junkie Radio earlier in the week, and you said these super fight titles will be defended. And I asked Francis about that when I spoke to him a few days ago, and he said he likes that idea, and he thinks there's people already on the roster that he could defend against next, maybe some people out there. He didn't mention any names, but are you guys already talking about how you are going to determine who fights the winner of this fight?
Oh, absolutely. We haven't announced it yet. We will. We'll be seeding that on Saturday. But, we have heavyweight fighters that, can take on both Francis as well as, Renan, some of the best in the world. We'll be recruiting others. So, yeah, this is an ongoing thing.
Is there any chance Francis will be in position for a rematch if this doesn't go his way? Is that in the contract or anything like that?
Let's get through Saturday and see how it goes.
Is the easiest part of this promotion for this event to call Chris Cyborg and Larissa Pacheco winner the best women's featherweight on the world? Because
Clearly, absolutely. I mean, Chris, this is it's going to be another great fight. You have another two-time PFL champion in Larissa Pacheco, a Brazilian, future, very much of the sport. Like, she is in her prime, and Chris Cyborg, she is one of the best in the world, and still, brings it. She's got 4 belts from 4 different organizations. She wants this one, so I think it's going to be an incredible fight.
One of those belts is obviously the Bellator belt. Can you give us an update on what's going on with Bellator? Obviously, a couple events were postponed at the back end of the year. People are just wondering what's going on with that part of the brand.
Yeah. No, we had I thought it was a great launch or reintroduction of the Bellator with the Bellator Champion Series. Candidly, we shuffled the event schedule based on some fighter, movements, and so. In Paris, we had 2 great events in Paris as an organization. We'll finish strong this year in Lyon overall, in terms of PFL. We haven't made an announcement on New Year's Eve yet where Bellator is headed to close out the year big. So, and I will say in the next month we'll be making an announcement of another international market here in the Middle East where we'll be staging PFL, Bellator events. We're very excited about it. So we're in growth mode. And, most importantly, it was really about the fighters. Giving the Bellator fighters an opportunity to continue to compete and support them and honor their contracts with the acquisition. And you saw many of those Bellator fighters come into the global season. It absolutely, up-leveled the competition in the global season, and then those dedicated fighters to the Champion Series. I thought the events were great. I think the fighters are happy. We're giving fans what they want. But, every year we're looking to reimagine things, elevate our franchises, and as we look at the schedule, more to come in how we're going to challenge both PFL fighters as well as Bellator fighters in our system. I mean, we have over 400 fighters now.
And just last question, you mentioned that growth stage that your guys in right now. As you try to go through that, how much more difficult does it make it when your rival promoter is out there, throwing trash on the brand, saying certain things that may or may not be true, however you want to clarify it, but just to have to deal with that, because we know in this industry, a lot of fans, what Dana White says, they just automatically go with it. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. How much more difficult does that make it for you guys?
Yeah, listen, I mean, we're focused on our game. I mean, our roster is second to none. The quality of our production and presentation second to none. We bring more innovation to the sport of MMA than anyone has in the last 2 decades, and so we're proud of the position we're in as, I would say, a co-leader in the sport. There's so much more room for growth, and why we exist is to expand the sport, grow the sport, create a system in the sport that's lacking around the world, and ultimately to give fighters opportunity. I mean, that's our focus, and fans, all they want is great fighters and great fights, and we do it with purpose as it relates to growing the sport, professionalizing the sport. So anybody can, I'm not about talking about the other guy. We're focused on what we're building, and I think the fans are really excited about it. You mentioned we're in growth mode, and major growth underway, particularly internationally. So we'll be making announcements how we're going to be expanding here in the Middle East. Obviously, we're staging first ever professional global MMA events in Africa. With the launch of PFL Africa, and then PFL Australia will also be launched.
Big time. Biggest event in company history on Saturday, would you say? Yes or no?
Biggest event when?
In company history.
Oh, absolutely. Battle of the Giants, Saturday, October 19th at Mayadeen, right here in Riyadh. And, shout out to our worldwide partner in DAZN, presenting the very best of MMA, our Ministry of Sport partnership, and obviously right here with Abdullah, the Saudi MMA Federation. All of those partnerships made this possible. And so, this is the biggest event of absolutely the PFL company history, and the biggest event of the year. And, I'm looking forward to stacking this up against, when you look at the cards for UFC 300, the Sphere, but as it relates to the card, this fight, this event on October 19th, biggest of the year, second to none.
Sure. Looking forward to it. We'll have Fight Week coverage all week long. Appreciate the time,
Great.
Peter. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.